In this video, I am continuing my crash course in Macbeth. It is my favourite Shakespeare play in the whole world, and if you missed lesson 1, which was on context and act 1, go back and check those videos out before continuing with this video. But right now, we are going to take a look at act 2 and act 3. Act 2 begins with Banquo and his son Fleance. They are guarding Duncan at night. Banquo tells his son that he has a very bad feeling. He says, "A heavy summons lies like lead upon me." Now, we already know that Banquo is a really good guy, so we do trust his feelings. Macbeth tries to get Banquo on his side by promising him that if he joins him, it shall make honour for you. Banquo says he would love to support Macbeth, even though he doesn't know in what exactly, as long as his bosom franchised and allegiance clear. So he basically says he wouldn't compromise on morality or his loyalty to the king. Notice Banquo was also given prophecies. Remember, the witches told him that his children were going to be king as well? But he didn't decide to start doing a madness like his best friend did. He seems to have a very strong moral compass. Macbeth then does his famous soliloquy where he hallucinates. He says, "Is this a dagger I see before me?"
Oh my God!
This shows that even before the murder, he's already losing his mind. A lot of people think Macbeth goes mad after he commits the murder, but he's already going crazy. He continues talking to the dagger and it starts to move towards Duncan. And then it changes by becoming bloody. There's blood on the dagger. This dagger could be a symbol of Macbeth's previous goodness, and now it is turning bloody. It is turning corrupt. It used to be clean and pure. As he's becoming more drowned in sin, it's getting more blood on it. The audience is left on the edge of their seats because we don't actually see Duncan's murder on stage. Macbeth basically enters in the next scene in a state of shock and trauma. He has just killed the king. But slight problem, he brought the weapons out with him. He was so in shock that literally he's still carrying around these like bloody daggers around with him. And his wife is obviously horrified. The drugged guards were praying in their sleep and Macbeth tries to say amen with them, but he says it was stuck in his throat. He asks his wife, "But wherefore could I not pronounce amen? Why couldn't I say amen?" He is so traumatized by what he's done, and his desperate question, combined with the religious imagery, shows that he needs reassurance, that he isn't doomed. He needs to know if there is any forgiveness for what he's just done. But there isn't. His wife isn't very empathetic, and as usual, she shouts at him for being stupid. She says, "Why did you bring these daggers from the place?" and gives him more instructions. She says, "Go get some water and wash this filthy witness from your hands." The questions and imperatives reveal her power and her authority over her husband, but Macbeth refuses to go back to the scene of the crime. So, what does she do? She goes to plant the daggers near the guards, and she smears them with Duncan's blood so that she can say that they committed the murder. Notice how Shakespeare uses water as a motif in this scene to show Macbeth and his wife's differing reactions. While she thinks that a little water clears us of this deed, which shows her total lack of remorse, she's like, "Little bit of water, this will all be gone." Macbeth wonders, will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? Neptune was the god of the sea, so basically he's saying there is so much blood on his hands that all the oceans of the world cannot cleanse my crime. It is also a rhetorical question showing his state of confusion. The next morning, Macduff knocks the door and a drunken porter takes ages to open the door as he's doing a role play in his head and making rude jokes. Lennox, one of the lords, explains what a weird night it was. He says, some say the earth was feverous and did shake. So the whole earth seemed to have a temperature, a fever, and responded to this unnatural crime. Macduff is going to be a really important character later on, so keep an eye on the things he does. The first important thing he does is he goes to wake up Duncan, only to find that Duncan is dead. He describes it as most sacrilegious murder hath broke ope the Lord's anointed temple. Macduff's shock and horror clearly shows his belief in the divine right, and his use of religious imagery demonstrates how he feels like someone has actually murdered God. Malcolm and Donalbain, Duncan's two sons, poor things, discover that their dad is dead, but everyone finds out that Macbeth murdered the guards. Even Lady Macbeth doesn't know that Macbeth had done that. Macbeth just went off on one and decided to go kill the guards. So Macduff questions Macbeth. He says, "Wherefore did you so? So why did you kill the guards? They were our only suspects and witnesses because we could have asked them why they killed Duncan." Lady Macbeth does the best thing to stop him from talking, and she pretends to faint. She says, "Help me hence, ho." And Malcolm and Donalbain know that one of these traitors has murdered their father. So when the rest of them go to an emergency meeting, they don't follow. Donalbain says the profound line, "There's daggers in men's smiles." He doesn't trust them. Instead, Malcolm decides to go to England and Donalbain goes to Ireland. They know that they'll be safer if they're apart from each other because whoever killed their dad could now strike again and come after them. Act 2, Scene 4 is a tiny scene in which an old man is saying that there are big examples of nature reacting to this crime. So a falcon was killed by a mousing owl, and the horses went crazy and they ate each other. Horses started eating each other. A clear warning about the chaos Macbeth has caused. Macbeth gets what he wanted, and guess what? We have a new king. Act 3 begins with Banquo's soliloquy, where he tells the audience that he suspects Macbeth did dodgy things to achieve this. He says, "I fear thou play'st most foully for't." However, being true Banquo, he remains polite, loyal to his new king, and he answers Macbeth's innocent-seeming questions honestly. When Macbeth says, "Ride you this afternoon?" Banquo doesn't lie because he still trusts his best friend. But Macbeth soon reveals that he now sees Banquo as his enemy, as he deliberately stole prophecies from the witches that were initially designed for him. It doesn't even make any sense. How can anyone steal prophecies? Then he continues his deranged and ungrateful rant that upon my head they placed a fruitless crown. He doesn't even want the king title now if Banquo's son Fleance is going to get it after him. So guess what he wants to do now? He wants to kill Banquo and Fleance. Sounds rational, right? Except this time, his wife has no idea. He has basically hired murderers who he manipulates using the same devices that his wife used on him, like rhetorical questions, emotional blackmail, etc. Are you a man? Are you a coward? Are you so gospelled to pray for this good man, Banquo, who is responsible for your poverty, etc., etc. His wife tries to question him about his new plans, and although he confesses that he is suffering mental anguish, he says, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife." With that animal imagery showing the magnitude of his torture, he isn't honest with her about his plans to kill Banquo. In fact, he says, "Be innocent of the knowledge, dearest Chuck." Dearest Chuck. Look at the juxtaposition of dearest Chuck compared to his earlier mention of Lady Macbeth as my dearest partner of greatness in his first letter to her. This is more of a typical Jacobean husband. Lady Macbeth desperately tries to ask questions. What a role reversal now. She says, "What's to be done?" She now needs that same reassurance that he once craved from her. However, echoing her earlier encouragement to be deceptive, He tells her to make our faces vizards to our hearts. Vizards as in masks. So he's saying put on a mask and hide your true intentions. He has fully usurped the role of Lady Macbeth. Macbeth is completely destroyed here mentally, but more importantly, this scene shows that his relationship with his wife has started to change. There has been a power shift. Act 3, Scene 3 is the murder scene, where Banquo is brutally killed by 3 murderers. But his son Fleance escapes. But that takes us to the famous banquet scene. Basically, it's Macbeth and Lady Macbeth's first party as king and queen. The murderers come and inform Macbeth that Banquo died, but Fleance didn't, and this makes Macbeth mad. Because after all, the prophecy was more about Fleance than it was about Banquo. In the party, Macbeth has his second hallucination, when he imagines that Banquo's ghost is sitting in his chair. In front of everyone, he starts shouting at the ghost, "Don't shake your bloody hair at me, ghost!" And he's about to give himself away. His wife tries to take control of the situation, so she's quick thinking, like she always is, and she first tells her guests to sit, worthy friends. My lord is often thus. Like, this happens to him often. But when he goes more manic, she tells them all to go home. She says, "I pray you, speak not, he grows worse and worse." Lady Macbeth does not shout at her husband after the party, but she lets him rant. Macbeth explains to her, "I am in blood, stepped in so far, that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as go over." It's a really powerful image. He's saying he has killed so much that if he goes back now, he would walk through as much blood as going forward, so he might as well carry on killing now. Blood is another motif in the play of guilt. He's now concerned about Macduff because he skipped Macbeth's coronation ceremony and skipped his banquet. So it's now clear that Macduff is not happy about Macbeth's kingship. So what Macbeth does is he plants spies in Macduff's house and hears that Macduff has run to England to beg Malcolm to come back. Macbeth also declares that he will go once again to the witches for new prophecies. Now that Banquo is dead and he's king, what's next in store for him? He wants to know, and you'll have to find out in the next video. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a like. Let's move on to the next video and find out what happens in the ending of Macbeth.